Hello, welcome back. I'm Andreas Chatt, your tech-curious web designer. In the last video, we set up the inbox template view and created the tables in our database. In this video, we will implement the functionalities to search for users, create new conversations, and send messages. We will learn about the queue class to create complex database queries, the values list method to retrieve specific values from the database, as well as the HTMX triggers key up and changed. But before we dive in, a quick shout out to my newest patron, Silu. Thank you very much for your support. And now, without further ado, let's go. Okay, so I'm here in my inbox we created last time, and let's look now at the new message button on top. If I click on it, a modal window will open, and I can search here for a user I would like to send a message to. For this, we start with creating this input field here. So with every keystroke, we send a HTMX request to the backend to evoke a function to check in a database if there exists a user with a username which starts with those letters. And then the backend will send us a list back of the results. So let's go to our inbox.html file. So in inbox, templates, inbox.html, and let's find the code for searching the user. Here we have our modal window, and here we have the code. So let's just grab the code and let's cut it from this template and create a new file. So I cut it and create a new file, form_search user.html, and paste it in here. Then let's add the include in our previous file. Okay, now save this file and let's go back. Let's add now our HTMX request. Our input field is here. So first we add hx-get to connect to the path with the name inbox-search users. Then we have the hx-trigger. So this HTMX request will be triggered when the user releases a key on the keyboard after pressing it, or when the value in the input field changed. And then we have the hx-target, which will target this container here. And the hx-swap is inner HTML. Alright. Save this file. Now let's create the path. So in our urls.py file, we add here another path. We add here the name inbox-search users and the search_users function. Okay. Save this file. Let's create this function now. So in views.py, now let's retrieve the letters from the request. So letters equals request.get, then we add here the get method. We get the value of the element with the name search user. This is the name we give this input field here. Alright. So first we check if we have letters. So if the length of the letters is greater than 0. And then we find the users with the usernames which match the letters. So here we have our users variable. And here we apply a filter which says the username should start with the letters from the input field. We're using here the __ starts with lookup. And then we exclude the logged in user because we don't want our username to show up in the list. Alright. And then we return a template with a list of users. We will create this template in a second. Let's first add here an else statement. else. So if there are no letters, we send back an empty page. So return HTTP response of blank. Alright, let's add this HTTP response at the top. From Django.http, import HTTP response. Okay, and save this file. I grab here the template name and create it in the templates folder. So the code for this file we can get from the form_search user HTML. Here we have the list. So we just cut it from here. Okay, save and paste it in here. Okay, now in here let's create a loop so we can get rid of one li element. And we say for user in users and close. And for, now let's add the name, user.profile.name, here the username and the avatar. Alright, save this file and let's do a test. So I refresh the page, new message, let's try it with an A, and we get the admin with an A. Now let's try with my friend Bobby. But as you can see, the search can't find Bobby. And this is because it's only searching for the username right now. Let's try with the letter U. And as you can see here, Bobby with the username user4 shows up. So let's improve the search now to include names of the users as well. Back to our code. So in views.py. So let's add another query. This time we're looking for the real name in the profile table. This is where users fill in their real name. And the lookup I'm using is _I contains. So the letters can be anywhere in the name. In that way we can also look for the surname, for example. And the I in I contains stands for insensitive, meaning it doesn't differentiate between upper or lowercase characters. And I exclude again the logged in user. So let's import the profile class now. From a_users.models import profile. So we have two queries here. One is accessing the user table and the other one the profile table. And we need to find a way now to combine them. To do that, I will first retrieve all the user IDs from my profiles object. Users ID equals, I'm grabbing this profiles object here. And then I'm using a method called values_list. This will give me a list of values, and the value I'm interested in is the user. So the user in the profile table stores the ID of the user. So I receive a list of IDs with this method. And then I also add flat equals true. So this values list gives me a list of tuples. A tuple is basically a collection of values. And the flat equals true argument gives me the cleaned up version of it. Alright, so now we have the IDs. Now we want to construct one query containing both query sets. For this I'm using the built-in Q class, where we can use the OR operator. So the Q class generates Q objects to which we can apply the OR or the AND operation. So the users we are looking for are from the user table .objects.filter and we say we're looking for the username which I contains the letters. So that's one condition. Or, so this pipe symbol means or. And the second condition is, so I'm using again the Q class here, ID in my user's ID list. Let's import this Q class on top now. So from Django.db.models import Q. And we again add here the exclude logged in user. Alright, now we can get rid of this line because it's included now as a Q object. Alright, save this file and let's check it out. I refresh the page. And now I'm looking for Bobby. And as you can see, I find him straight away. Nice. Let's try with the surname, for example, Sake. And it finds the user as well. Alright, now let's move on to the next stage. So if I'm clicking the username here, I would like to send a HTMX request to the backend again. And this time I would like to receive a form where I can write a new message. But before we move on, let's make sure that the search user functionality checks if the request is really coming from a HTMX call. So in the views, we can just add a condition. So if request.htmx, we run this code. Else, we show a 404 page. So we say raise HTTP 404. Okay, let's import this class at the top. We add it next to the HTTP response object here. Okay, save this file. And now let's move on and create a Django form to write the message. So within the inbox folder, we create a new file called forms.py. And here we add our message form. So I call it inbox new message form. Let's first import the missing elements, so the model form, the inbox message class, and the forms. So on top here, from Django.forms import model form, from Django import forms, and from models import inbox message. Alright, so the table we're accessing here is the inbox message table. The fields we're using is the body field, and here again you're saying no label, and I'm displaying it as a text area with 4 rows and also placeholder. Okay, let's save it. Now let's create our function. So I call it new underscore message, and it requires here the recipient ID as an argument, which belongs to the user we searched for. Let's also add the login required decorator on top. And now let's retrieve first the recipient of this message. So we're using here the getObject or form function. We're accessing the user table and finding the user by the recipient ID. Now we instantiate the form like that. Let's import this inbox new message form now. So on top, from.forms import inbox new message form. Okay. Then we create here the context where we attach the recipient and the new message form, and we return the snippet. Like that. Okay, we can save this file. Let's create this new message snippet now. So I copy the name. In the templates, I add a new file. And in here we add the return snippet now. My patrons can again grab this code from patreon.com/AndreasChat. So let's grab this code now and paste it in here. There we go. Here we have the form here with the text area. We can get rid of this line here. And we add here our form. And also add the CSRF token. Like that. Now let's also add the variables. So here is the name of the user. We're using here the recipient object. Then we have here the username and the avatar. Okay. There's one more thing we have to add to this template, and it's the action attribute on the form element. So in here we have to add an action attribute, because this form in this snippet file doesn't know to which URL it should send the form to. So we have to declare it here explicitly. Alright, save this file. And now let's add the HTMX call in our search user list. So list underscore search user. We can get rid of this href attribute here. And we add our HTMX. This is the name to our path, which we will add in a second. Inbox-new message, and we supply the user ID. Then we have hx-target, which targets the new message container, which we find in the search user.html file. This is basically the parent container here. And we add hx-swap as our inner HTML. Alright. Save this file and let's add the path. So in urls.py, we add here the new path. It takes in here the recipient ID argument. The name is inbox-new message, and we call the new underscore message function. Save this file. Let's check it out. So I refresh the page. I click new message. I find the user. So I find Bobby. There we go. I click on it and I receive the form. Awesome. The next step is to save the message to the database. Alright, let's go back to our views.py file. And in here we first check if the request method is paused. Then we retrieve the form data. Then we check if the form is valid. Then we create the message variable and set the form to commit false, because we have to add now the missing data. So let's first save this message like that. And now first let's include the sender. So message.sender equals request.user. So this is our sender. So next we have to attach the conversation. So first I'm checking if this conversation already exists. So to check that, I first fetch all the conversation I am part of. So I'm saying my conversations equals request.user.conversations.all. And now I'm looping through all these conversations and check if the recipient is in one of those conversations. So for C in my conversations, then I check if the recipient is part of my participants. So if recipient in c.participants.all. So if this is the case, we can just say message.conversation equals C. So then we have attached the sender and the conversation, and we can save the message. Message.save. Now let's also update the conversation object because it contains the last message created datetime field. So C, this is our conversation dot last message underscore created. That's the property equals time zone dot now. Like that. And now we can save the conversation. So C dot save. And once this is done, we would like to be redirected to the inbox with that conversation. So return redirect to the inbox, and we supply the conversation ID. So c.id. All right, let's add the redirect function. So on top, this is part of the shortcuts, so we can just add it here. Redirect, comma. All right. Now, if the loop goes through all my conversations but doesn't find a conversation where the recipient is included in the participants, we have to create a new conversation. So let's do that now. So under the loop here, I create my new conversation equals, then with this create method, we can create a new conversation object. Now let's add the participants. So new conversation dot participants dot add. With the add method, we can add objects to this many-to-many field. So one participant is the logged in user, so request.user, and another one is the recipient. All right, and now we can save this conversation. So new conversation dot save. Here we don't have to add the last message created property because by default it's added automatically. But we have to attach this conversation to the message. So message.conversation equals new underscore conversation. And then message.save. And then again we have to redirect to the inbox and supply the ID of this new conversation. Like that. This should be all, so let's save this file and check it out. So I refresh the page. Let's try first with an existing conversation. I'm searching for Pete. Click on the name, then add a message, hello Pete, and submit the message. And it worked. As you can see, my new message is added to the bottom of this conversation. Great. Now let's write a message to somebody I haven't a conversation with yet. So new message, Bobby. I say, hello, Bobby. Okay, and submit. And as you can see here, it created a new conversation, added it on top of my list because it's the conversation with the latest message. And we have here our message displayed. Awesome. All right, now let's add the reply functionality. So when I click this button, I want to get a form in its place to write a reply. Here again, I will be using HTMX. So this button we can find in the conversation.html file. Here we have the button. And let's add here now our HTMX. So we get rid of this href attribute here. Then we add the hx-get. We are connecting to the path with the name inbox-new reply and supply the conversation ID. Then the next one is the hx-target. So we're targeting this element. And the third one, we have here hx-swap outer HTML. So this whole element will be replaced. So here I will add an additional argument. I can add a scroll behavior because I want the page to scroll down to have the latest message in view. So scroll, colon, and I'm adding here the container I would like to target. So in my case, it's the container with the ID conversation. And then colon, and then I'm saying bottom. So scroll to the bottom of the conversation. Alright, now I move this one up like that and save the file. Okay, now let's add the path. Here we're attaching the conversation ID and we're calling the new underscore reply function. Alright, save this file and let's create this function now. So in our views.py file, we add here our new function. It takes in the conversation ID as an argument. Let's also add the login require decorator. Then first we instantiate the inbox new message form. Then I declare the conversation object. So I fetch here first my conversations to make sure the logged in user is a participant, and then I get the object of 44. Like that. Alright, and now we add the context. We supply the form and the conversation object, and then we add the return. Alright, save this file. Now let's create this snippet. So I'm copying the name. I go to my templates and add a new file. And in here, I add now the code. My patrons again can grab the code from patreon.com/AndreasChat. Okay, here we have everything filled out already. So we have all the variables, we have the action attribute, and we have the form already included. Alright, save this file, and let's check it out. So I refresh the page, and if I click now the reply button here, I should see the reply form. And there it is. Great. Now let's implement the post method. We go to our views.py file, and let's add our logic. So if request.method is equal to post, we retrieve the data from the form. Then we check if the form is valid. Then we create our message variable and add commit equals false. Then we add the sender to the message, which is the request.user. Then we add the conversation, which is this conversation. Then we can save the message. After that, we update the conversation object with the time of the last message. And then we can save the conversation. Finally, we redirect the user to the inbox with that conversation. Like that. Alright, save this file. Let's check it out. I refresh the page. I click the reply button. I add a message. All good, mate. And then send message. And there is the message. Tremendous. Now our user here might start to feel a bit concerned about Bobby's absence. So let's switch accounts and reply from Bobby's account. So I'm here in Bobby's inbox. So I click Andreas. And I reply, yeah, all good. And send message. Alright, great. Now we added the new message button here and the reply button. And there's one more place where I would like to add the functionality to write a message, and this is on the profile page. So if I click the icon here, I go to the profile page. And here I would like to add a new message button as well. So let's grab first the code for this button. My patrons can again get it from the Patreon website. And then we add the code to the profile.html file. So in templates, users, profile.html. Here we have the element with the avatar and username. And just underneath here, we add our code. Like that. So here we have a modal window, which is closed when you first land on the page. Here is our button. And here we have a click event to open the modal window. And here with this x-data, we initialize the Alpine.js on this page and set the modal open variable to false to have it hidden when the page loads. Make sure you include also this attribute. Alright, save this file. Let's see what we have so far. I refresh the page and the button appeared. I click the button and the modal window opens, but so far without content. So let's add the new message form in here now. So in here we include now the message form, like that. And we have to add the form also to the profile view now. So we go to users folder and here to views.py. Here we have the profile view. Let's import the form. So from a_inbox.forms, import the inbox new message form. And then we have to instantiate the form. So let's add the form in here and add it to our context. Okay, let's save this file. Now our profile page receives the form. The only problem here is that we call the object in our form recipient. However, we supply here the profile object. So we have a mismatch with naming, but we can fix that easily in the profile template. So in here, we can just simply add with recipient. So we tell here Django the recipient object is equal to the profile.user. So the profile.user object is our recipient object. Okay, save this file and let's check it out. I refresh the page and I add a message here. It's Bobby. How are you? And submit message. And it worked. We got redirected to the inbox page and we see the message appeared at the bottom here. Great, now we have a working inbox. This is all for this video. Thank you for watching. In the next one, we will implement the notification alerts, so users get notified when they got a new message. See you then. In the meantime, happy coding!